Yo, what's good, everybody? You are tuned in to another episode of the Wave Pod. We're on episode 22. So first and foremost, let me shout out all my Apple Podcast people. Shout out to the Spotify fam, and shout out to YouTube gang, and shout out to everybody else listening on all other platforms as well. But without further ado, we got our guest today. We got Jared in. What's up, Jared? How you
What's
feeling?
up, man? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Chilling, getting ready for the semester day and getting ready to graduate. You feel me?
Man, how I could lead it off with that question too. How does it feel to be graduating? You know, you did your 4 years. How does it feel to finally be at that finish line?
Man, it's cool. It's bittersweet, like most people say. It goes by fast, blah blah blah. But man, it's cool. Like I'm ready for the next stage of life. I'm ready. I feel like I've gotten the most out of my college experience. So I'm excited for what the future holds.
Oh no, I understand that too. Yeah. I'm in my third year, but I'm already like I shouldn't feel senior. I kind of feel it.
No,
I don't
I
know if
definitely
it's
felt it last year at this point too. And I
yeah,
mean, I think it's a combination of everything, being online and stuff too.
yeah.
But I mean, you've been here dang near 3 years, including Bob. So like, yeah, ready
Yeah.
to go, ready to be done. You feel me?
Ready to be done. And man, so a little bit about Jared. That Jared is a man of many trades. And like when I was coming up with this episode, thinking about a topic, typically I can think of a topic very quickly and just let people know. But with Jared, I just want to touch on a little bit of everything because man, he's a man of all trades. He does wrestling. He's amazing academically, man, and he got music sense as well. So man, Jared has a lot going on for him. So I was like, look, let's just
Right.
get to talking and see where it goes. But
Yeah, I'm glad you said music because I was hoping we were gonna talk about a little bit of music.
oh yeah, of course. Like by which what's your favorite artist?
My favorite artists, I say JID or like Anderson Paak. They're kind of on different spectrums, but those are the two guys. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
Yeah.
they be every time they put something out, I like it. So they just don't miss.
See, I see you like a more lyrical aspect to your sounds. I noticed that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, definitely. I like something with a little soul and someone who's saying a little something. But man, those are the two guys out right now that I really like. I also really like Corday. I'm excited for his
Or
next album to
yeah.
drop. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of people I listen to. It's more like the lyrical stuff. But I do love me some Drake too. Waiting on that certified lover,
Oh man, it's supposed to been out. I've been waiting on that album for sure.
bro. For a minute, he said February. I was like, oh, bet he finna drop this on Valentine's Day. Nope.
Nope,
We got the little taste, the scary hours, but
that don't compare at all.
no, I
Cause I
want the
know
whole
this album's
thing.
gonna be fire.
Right, I know. He's just waiting to drop it at the right time. I feel like so it's just like the summer anthem,
Yeah.
which it will be regardless. But he just
Oh,
waiting.
people gonna be playing that for like summers on in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what's crazy about Drake, we don't know when he had some of this music out at all. He could have made this music back in 2015, 2016 and
Right.
put it out for people, and we just wouldn't know. I think
Right.
that's another crazy thing about artists too. How we'll listen to something and come out now and then, they'll be like, well, that song was made in 2017. I just released it, you know?
Right. I've been sitting on it. Like, why? Why? Just give it. Just come on. Come on. We're ready. Hit us with it. The
I'm
other, the
yeah,
other person, the other artist I really like too is Buddy, Buddy. He's a California artist. He does some more like it's kind of like hip hop slash R&B. Like he got a smooth little vibe to him, but he also be spin. He was on a lot of like the Revenge of the Dreamers album. And he's got some good stuff. So hoping he's gonna drop something soon too. So I'm just ready for this wave of music to hit right before
man.
summer.
I'm telling you, it's gonna hit soon too. Rod Wave just got a Billboard Top 200. He's number one, so
Yeah,
that's good for
yeah,
Rod. That's who I've been listening to a lot lately. I've been listening to a lot of Rod Wave, and it was crazy to think because I just found out Rod Wave is like he was born in '99 because he was saying how he was 21. I looked it up. He was born a couple days after me, and it was crazy. I was like,
That's
wow.
wild. Yeah, that is wild. He's young.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, I was listening to that album. I was listening to that album earlier today too. Yeah, it's smooth.
yeah, I think it's crazy how like now like how growing up when we was listening to artists, they was all older than us. And now that we about the same age as these guys. So like I feel like I relate more. So that's why I
Yeah,
like to go back to like old Drake,
yeah,
old Kendrick, and all of that, and listen. And I'm like, okay, when they was around my age, they talking about stuff that I can relate to now.
right. Exactly. Before we was in like middle school, listening to that stuff. Have no idea what they really talking about, but it's still bumping, and now it hits even harder.
Exactly. And I don't think people really appreciate going back because people so looking forward in the future. But man, you listen to some old stuff and you be like, okay, I can relate to this now.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just gotta hit shuffle on your music and just let your library take you.
Oh man, I find some songs that I'll listen to constantly just off of shuffle because a lot of times I'll skip a lot of songs. I'll go through and
Yeah.
skip and try to
Sometimes you
find the one.
forget you have some of them jams in there, right? You
Yeah,
just let that joint play for a little bit, you'll come up on some gems. I'll be like, oh dang, I got great music taste. I forgot this is even in my library.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I have to go back and save it or do what I got to do to make sure I'm listening to it again. Make sure it's in rotation. See, I
Facts,
see
facts.
the Biggie and Tupac in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
So my question to you, because I always put it like, I always put it as, well, I don't want to give out my answer just so, but who you think was better, Biggie or Tupac?
Here's the thing, man. I listen to them both for like specific. Like I feel like they both got jammed for different times. Like I got a lot of Tupac on my workout playlist and stuff. Also got some Biggie, but Biggie, like for me, I just like rolling down the window sometimes playing his jams. But they both got just crazy flow, crazy bars. Like, bro, I was listening to Notorious Thugs yesterday with them and Bone Thugs Harmony.
Yep.
Great song with him and Biggie, bro. Like, it's just jam. I don't know that music just like God, you can just see the talent, and they were both so young. They were like our age, when they were dropping all
That's
their
great.
hits.
Yeah. That's crazy
So
to
I
even
think,
think about.
yeah, I think in that picture, both of them were like 20, 21, like they were
Yep.
young, but like that's like a famous picture of them two together. And I just, you know, I, I just have them both in pretty much every playlist because they got jams for each mood. You feel me?
Exactly. And it's crazy to think about that too, because when you watch documentaries and stuff like that on them and they talk, you would think like, okay, these guys are like older and stuff like that, but they was our age. And they were
Right.
our age. And when you realize it, they'd be like, okay, they was like, Pac was like 20, 21 like this. I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. That's around my
Yeah.
age. He was doing this and
Had the
Pac
whole
was like a
music
leader
industry
for
by a
reform and stuff
chokehold.
like that.
Yeah, they had the whole music industry by a chokehold, and like they were our age. It's wild to think about.
It
Crazy
re-
time.
Yeah, it really is. And personally, see, this is how I rank it. I always like to rank it like this. I would say I love that Tupac was the better artist because I feel like Tupac had all the like styles going for him, but lyrically, nobody messing with Biggie for real.
Nah,
Big
nah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Biggie in that era was like he was amazing with his wordplay and everything. He was they I remember Diddy described it. I was watching his documentary on Netflix, the recent one. If you haven't, I suggest you watch it too because it's really good. He
But
was like he said he was like out of space or something. He didn't know where he came from with these lyrics. And I was like, man, because you listen to some of it, you go back, I'm like, okay, some of this stuff really, the wordplay, you wouldn't catch on a lot.
right, yeah. Make it the stuff that you hear and you go, let me rewind this real quick because I missed part of that. What you said right there? Yeah, bro. That's the type of music that I really like listening to. So I feel you.
Yeah. And in my previous podcast, it's glad we on the music side because we talked about greatest artists of all time. And if anybody listening right now, if you haven't listened, go back and watch that podcast. It was actually amazing. I discussed how my favorite artist of all time was Lil Wayne. Because I personally, I feel like Lil Wayne, I grew up listening to him, and I was growing up in a time where it was mixtape Wayne and this and that.
Yeah.
And we talked about his fall down and stuff like that. So my kind of question to you would be, how do you feel as though, like, we see artists now, like we see the older artists and the newer generation, how do you feel as though, like, when you see your, like, I would say artist hero almost, you see them fall down,
Right.
does that kind of like mess with you as you rank them, or do you always like, you try to sway away from what they listen to? Because I say, like, another example of that would be Kanye as well. Because I could
That
listen
was
to
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah, man. Like Kanye is a big example because like he was my favorite, bro. And then even like Yeezus, I thought was cool. Like that came out when I was in like when we were in like middle school, I think. And then like The Life of Pablo was still all right. It was
right.
cool. It had some good jams. And then I don't even know what his most recent ones, because after
I
that I
think
kind of
it was the gospel album. I'm pretty sure that was it.
yeah. But then like that, like music was like hot, it was whatever, but it was mostly like his antics, and
Yeah.
stuff he was saying, like all the interviews, him riding with Trump, all this stuff, and I'm
Oh
just like,
yeah,
I can't, it's hard to even listen to his old jams the same.
that's
Um,
true.
Regardless, like his new stuff, man,
It's
I don't
it's
listen to
just, yeah. I don't get, like, it was like he's trying for something, but it's not working. Cause I could go back and listen to Yeezus. Yeezus is actually pretty good.
it. Was cold, yeah. Jesus was cold,
That
but
the Life of Pablo has some hits, but you can see the progression going down.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
maybe I don't know. Maybe it's like one of those things where we listen to it 2 years later, we like, okay, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see
I don't
that, bro.
see it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro, I feel you, and I feel like Kanye was tough for me too, because it's like I thought he was dope as like a person too, kind of like it just obviously he's a talented artist and like creator, and like still like he got his clothes, like he be doing pretty much every art medium, and he's good at it because he still has a base, and part of it I think is from like his antics. But for me, it like hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, exactly. When you
Kanye's
looking
out
up to
here,
somebody and then
yeah, exactly. He's out here doing all this mess. Like, dang.
I felt the same way about Lil Wayne though as well. I
Yeah.
was like, man, it hurts seeing your artist doing this too.
Right.
And
That's why I feel like. Sorry, my bad. Go
oh
ahead.
no, you could go because
I feel like from my point of view, it's like that's when I stop as much just like looking up to artists or like celebrities
yeah.
and just learning to appreciate their work. You
Uh,
know, because I feel like a lot of times like we attach like our heroes to like these celebrities, like even J. Cole, like whoever it is, and then like they let you down by not speaking up on something that you think they should or doing something different um, than you would have done, or you feel like they're not, speaking for the community anymore, which is true for a lot of artists. I feel
exactly.
like when they get to that, top percent earners, like they're just worried about their pockets. They're so separated from reality that they're not putting out anything anymore that means anything to the people. But that's when I was just like, you know what, I'm okay. They're people too, you know what I'm saying, but you can still
Ex-
appreciate their music for what it is, and not have to ride with them 100%.
Exactly. That's what I was going. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was gonna kind of touch on that, like how social media nowadays plays a big factor. Because around the time they were like very high, like we didn't get to see them on social media going off and stuff like that. And I always wonder. That's a big question that goes on in my mind. Like, what if it was like social media was in the 90s? How would things take off and stuff like that, or the dynamics we would have?
Yeah, no, definitely, because you just get such an insight into what people really think, and with like, everything is on camera phone now. Everything's
Yeah.
on a smartphone, so folks can't even go out in public without their chance of getting caught on tape, candidates, whatever. I'm sure we have a lot of the same thing because people are people.
Yeah,
There'd be
exactly.
people, they'd say some off the rip, off the hook, like OD stuff on Twitter, and maybe we wouldn't be looking at Tupac, Biggie the same if they had a Twitter. Who knows? But
Exactly.
still appreciate their work for what it is.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now I want to switch the topic because this has been a question I really want to ask you. It's a
Yeah.
simple question. How do you do it? You have a sheet full of stuff, sheet full of accolades, organizations, activities. I just want to know, Jared, how do you do it?
Man, I think the biggest thing for me It's just like you see, like I've been involved in a lot of things the last 4 years. Um, had some cool accomplishments, but the biggest thing for me is like I'm always kind of looking for some new to experience and some new way to interact with people and just kind of see what's out there because um I remember coming in. So I came here through wrestling. That's how I had my visit, and that's how I got introduced to the school. I actually didn't know anything about the business program. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I came to school. I was just like, I'm a wrestler. And I remember the first summer I was out here taking Darren's class with the business opportunity program in Craner, and just talking to different people. Like I knew right away coming in, like I wasn't like I'm not the best wrestler in the world. You feel me? Like I'm cool, I'm good. I made it here, the top upper echelon of my sport, but I was realistic about kind of the athlete I was coming in, and just given the circumstances of my sport, like there's no professional rest. Like it's a very limited revenue pool once you get to that real top level out of college. And I didn't really, I didn't have aspirations to play professionally. Like or wrestle the next level. So I was just like, like I need to find out what's out there for me outside of my athletics. So that's kind of what drove me this last 4 years is just like really trying to find out what I like. Because I feel like if you can match the passion with the purpose, like that stuff, that's where you just take off. Like if you're doing something that you like you're doing this podcast, you do it well, and you enjoy doing it, like that's the motivation is always going to be there. So for me, like it's a lot of that. I feel like I have some natural talents, like leadership talents, and just felt like I just try to tie that in with everything I'm doing and just kind of put yourself out there. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it gets crazy busy sometimes. You traveling, you got student orgs, you got this, you got that. But I just didn't want to leave any stone unturned per se. And there's still things, I wish I had time for, I wish I had done.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to take full advantage because I feel like too, in college, just a time to try out things and like meet people and do whatever. So like that was just kind of my motivation. Like, what else is out there? What can I do? Want to get back to the community a little bit, want to meet people. So, that's pretty much where it came from. And then, as you put yourself out there, more and more doors will open and more opportunities come and just, try to say yes to things.
I love how you said trying new things, which leads me to my question. Like, how do you step out of your comfort zone and try new things? Because that's a problem. Like, I typically have sometimes. Like, normally, like it's getting to that point of actually doing it. Because once you in motion of doing something, it's easy to do it and try out. But it's that point of pushing yourself to go over that edge. And I want to know, how do you do that?
Yeah, no, that's something I struggle with too, right? Like I'm a naturally introverted person, so I even like going out, I'll find an excuse not to go out and kick it or whatever. I'd rather just be in my room. But I feel like every time I do those things, like you said, like you get into it, I'm like, dang, I should have done this a while ago. Like I'm glad I did it. So for me, it's just like I remember someone saying to me one time, or there's a saying out there, like if it scares you, it's probably a good thing. You should try it. And just knowing that like once you're out of your comfort zone, that's usually when the learning happens. That's when growth happens. So just kind of keeping that in perspective, and also knowing like we're young and like anything, even if you fail at something, like everyone fails, like everyone's tried something that they didn't like, but it's those times that you try something new and you really jive with it. That's when you're gonna find a passion or keep doing things that you like to do.
Oh no, I get it. I get it 100% what you're saying, because trying new things, like I say, for instance, for me, even coming to Purdue was out of my comfort zone, because I really thought I was gonna stay local and go to the Purdue Northwest, in Northwest Indiana, and just stay there. But some told me, like, Mike, is you gotta leave, you gotta at least explore and try it out. And that was one of the things I was glad I ever did, for real, because it really changed my life. I met a lot of people, and it's about getting in that comfort zone and spreading your wings and fly. So that's something really good to talk about. And oh man, I want to say, not to just get off topic, I see that Friday shirt.
Yeah, yeah. You peeped that?
Yeah, Friday. First of all, Friday is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, it's up there for me too,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, I love Friday. I just no, I could watch Friday. I watch Friday 50,000 times. As a matter of fact, this weekend they had a marathon going on. That's all I watched really all weekend. So I was glad
Heck
I
yeah.
seen that. I was like, yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, bro. This shirt, I remember the clothing company DGK dropped like a
Mhm.
line of like shirts like this that were influenced by like black movies. I
Uh,
got another one with Boys in the Hood scene on it.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
but I remember they got pulled because they didn't get copyrights for
Uh-huh.
these shirts. So there was like a limited release and they got pulled. And when I went to the store, I just bought up all of them that I saw there because I think they're tight shirts and like I love
They
the
are.
movie. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, bro.
I wish I would have jumped on when I first because I remember like seeing those shirts and I was all like, man, I'm gonna get one day, and then just ended up never getting it. But I wish I had it because man, I love those movies like Boys in the Hood, Friday, you name it. Pretty much, I've seen it. I've seen it really. It's a
Have you
couple
seen
that I haven't.
have you seen The Wood?
That's the one. That's the one I was gonna mention. I haven't seen The Wood, but I heard it's
Bro, that's one of my favorite like 90s black movies, bro. It's to me that's so funny because I can just see myself and like my high school friends, my brother, like looking back at all the wild stuff because they kind of just walk through their childhood growing up. It's like
exactly.
three friends, and it's pure comedy. Also got a little bit of that growing up life lesson stuff in it. But you need to get on that, bro. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch The Wood. See, I've seen stuff like Boys in the Hood. I didn't seen Friday. I didn't seen Paid in Full and all of those. And
Mhm.
those are movies like I'll really watch and stuff like that. And I actually like those. Wait, have you ever seen Paper Soldiers before with Kevin Hart?
No,
Oh, okay. That was Kevin Hart's first star movie. It was like all of those, like see, because I'm big on crime movies. I love crime
yeah,
movies, crime documentaries. So it was just basically like him breaking and entering, but it was crazy because it ties into music as well because it was produced by Rockefeller. So like Jay-Z, that was when Jay-Z was expanding out and he was doing things like movies and clothing and all that. So I think it's amazing how like it the like rap industry like was evolving and coming out in the movies and stuff like that. And I feel like we should see more of that in the future too as well.
yeah, no, definitely. Like, cause in the early 2000s, 90s era, even Cube getting on his producer stuff and like I don't know, they're entertainers, and I feel like when it ties in with hip hop culture, like that's when it gets the most buzz behind it. I'm trying to think
Exactly.
of like recent movies, even um Straight Outta Compton is probably the
Yeah.
most recent one I can think of, but like can't think of a lot where it's like current artists playing like top roles. Um,
And I feel
but
like
yeah,
we need
I
more of
look
that.
for something like that. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm trying to think if there's any artists right now that I would like to see, but you don't really know because if you don't see them like in acting, you don't know
Yeah.
if they're talented. Low key, Drake got some acting skills. He be even in his music videos and like I know he
Yeah.
was on Saturday Night Live for a while and like those skits that he did are funny because he started in Degrassi or whatever. But
Yeah.
I feel like in a few years, maybe when he's a little done with his music, which I feel like he's getting there, maybe we'll start seeing Drake in some
I,
acting roles.
I'm surprised Drake hasn't been in no movies or nothing like that. That's actually crazy to think about because I feel like Drake being in a movie or even if he had like a
He
starring
would go
role,
nuts. He
sell,
would go
sell
nuts.
out.
Everyone's good, even if it's not good. Like I'm finna go see it.
I will see. Yeah, I'm going to see Drake.
You
Exactly.
see, you seen the State Farm commercial he's in?
Yeah,
Yeah, where
and like
like
that got so much buzz.
yeah, exactly. Nah, I feel like if Drake linked up with some folks, did a movie, phew, it'll blow up for
And I'm
sure.
surprised that hasn't happened yet. It is crazy because you would think like you see Drake on SNL and stuff like that, but you never seen him on a movie. We
Yeah,
normally see are like I would say older artists, such like LL Cool J.
yeah,
He's on CBS. He's on
yeah,
CSI, I believe, and like other rappers like that. Like Ti does a lot. Ti
yeah.
does a lot of movies. I think Chris Brown does some as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, it'd be very interesting. Not to mention, I gotta mention Bow Wow. Bow Wow's been in some movies. It's fun. It's
I would
funny
have
to
been
say.
That one been acting since he was little though. You know, he
Yeah,
came out as an entertainer. He was like, I'm doing acting, I'm doing music, I'm doing all this. And low key, he's a good actor, bro. I mean,
exactly. I feel like people clown Bow Wow, but Bow Wow needs to get his credit sometimes.
yeah, Bow Wow, I feel like he's definitely moved the culture. Like he's put out some work.
People forget about the times when they was little and they was dancing to Bow Wow and Soldier Boy, but they done
Shorty
a
like
lot too.
mine. Come on, come on, come
Yes,
on.
exactly. Exactly. Let me see. I wanna kind of like talk about we kind of touched on graduation. I want to talk about like I don't think I asked the question yet, but how do you feel like this upcoming graduation compared to like high school?
Yeah. Um, I low key have like similar feelings. Because I remember being a senior in high school. I went to like a small Catholic school, private school, and I was so ready to like be gone and like try something different. Um, and that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. Not to say that Purdue's small, but I feel like the West Lafayette community is kind of small, you know.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it's definitely one of the smaller Big Ten campuses and stuff. Like you can't even like everything closes by 1 a.m. Like you can't even get some food at 1 a.m. Like
That's
it's
true.
just, it's quiet out here. Like I don't feel like there's a lot to do on the so I feel like you start to outgrow your environment sometimes. And like that's when it's ready for a change. And that's kind of how I feel. I remember high school is similar sense that like you have like all this opportunity in front of you. Like you're gonna
Exactly.
start fresh, you're gonna go somewhere new or different and being challenged in different ways, and that's kind of how I'm feeling. Even after graduation, I'm going back to Minnesota. I'll be working for Target in Minneapolis, so I'm from Minnesota. So it's a little weird. I feel like in a sense I'm taking a step back that I'm not gonna be experiencing something different um, in terms of like location. But I'll be in the city as opposed to like the suburbs. So I guess that'll be a little different.
Yeah.
And like I mean I'll be on my own, be an adult, so that's cool. But it's kind of that sense of like a fresh start a little bit, but feel more prepared. I feel like than I did in high school because in high school, I feel like I had no idea what I was getting into with
Yeah.
college academics, college athletics, any of that. I really felt like a fish out of water. But just through some of the work that I've done in college, some of the experiences I've had, I feel like more prepared to take that next step in the real world. Although I know I'm gonna get hit blindsided a million different times with like, oh, this is what adulting really is. This is kind of whack. But at the same time, like it's an opportunity to, really individualize yourself again and meet new people. And I feel like Minneapolis in particular is at a interesting point, just with it being the epicenter to a
Exactly.
lot of the social justice protests and Black Lives Matter protests after George Floyd was killed. Excuse me. So like the community is rebuilding right now, and they're rallying behind Black leaders and Black businesses a bit, and like there's opportunity there, to be involved in some real cool change that's going to take place. So I'm looking forward to doing that stuff. So I think it's just it's all about perspective. You appreciate the experiences for what they were, what they are. You just learn from it and build, and then get ready for the next thing and continue to like put myself out there. But it is scary, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's a big step, and it's like, dang, I'm an adult now. Like after you leave college or after you leave high school, you graduate, you go to college. You're like, oh, you're an adult, but like kinda, but you still kind of a kid. Like you around everyone in your same age group. It's a very different dynamic than the real world. I remember I had a internship actually back in Minneapolis with a different company after my sophomore year. And I was like, I remember just like every time I'm in public, you hear babies crying, you see old people and stuff everywhere, and you're just like you almost forget they exist when you're on a college campus
Yeah.
because the median
Oh,
age is like 25. So like you're seeing all these people that are the same age as you, listen to the same music, stuff like that. But just like going back out into the real world, you're like, oh snap, like people got kids, like
exactly.
like
I know
old people
exactly
are
what
out
you mean.
here. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Um, it is crazy though, and it's kind of nice. You get kind of a fresh plate, fresh perspective, and just get to roll with, whatever you feel.
I agree with you. And Indianapolis is a really nice city. I've been there. I got family out there, and I've been there probably like last time I've been there was probably like 2016, 2017. And like I really got to see like the downtown area. It's really nice. But one thing when I went, it was September. It was September. I always remember it because it was near my birthday. So it was September, but it was hot out there. But I know Minneapolis gets cold. Like Chicago's cold, but Minneapolis is a different cold.
Yeah. No, that's definitely and low-key, that was one of the things I was like, I like Minneapolis. I like Minnesota. I think there's a lot of great stuff to do there. Like I'm kind of outdoorsy too. Like I like going on hikes. I like being on the lakes and stuff. So that's cool because there's so much of that to do. But dang, bro, like the winters are cold. Like, I'm not gonna front, they're cold, man. And it's like I feel like, Chicago, like I've experienced Chicago winters a lot. My girlfriend's from there, so we visit all the time. And like that's cold too. And I feel like it gets to a certain point, if it's that cold, like you're not going outside in January, February, pretty much anywhere in the Midwest. Like Indiana, we not running around in January, February when it's 10, 15 degrees. I'm not going outside. I'm not. So it's the same thing in Minnesota. But I think the summer vibe there is dope. Like I said, there's rivers, lakes everywhere. It's called the land of 10,000 lakes, and it really is.
Yeah.
The place I'm moving is like right out of downtown Minneapolis, and like I'm within, a 20-minute walk to 3 different lakes. So it's just like it's got a cool vibe.
No, I completely agree to you, and I like how Minneapolis has like a Canada adaptation to it, and I really like that. So, because like you will see some things. So, for example, like the store Carson's was a totally different name. It was compared to like the Canada name. I forgot what it was called. It was like some with an H. I was like amazed by that. I'm listening to the accents. I'm all like, okay, I can see how like Canadian culture is adapted into Minneapolis, which was really cool actually.
Yeah, it is. It is a northern.
So we had a little technical difficulties, but we back now. What we was talking about though, well, Jared already knows the question, but for those out there, we was talking about Canadian culture and how it has the adaptation in Minneapolis and Minnesota. So I want to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, I think like I've never actually been to Canada myself, but you can definitely see how Minneapolis is different than other like twin or Midwest cities. And obviously because it's so far north, it's got colder weather, kind of a little different seasons, but it is laid back. Like there's a saying like Minnesota nice, like people are nice, but it's kind of similar to like how everyone in the Midwest, like they'll smile, smirk at you, but people won't really like come up and start conversations. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's cool. And anytime anyone asks me about the Twin Cities area or Minnesota, I tell them, come visit from May through September because it's gonna be super dope. Really nice weather, like it's pretty, but don't bother coming November through March. Like you don't even, you're good, bro. It's just gonna be cold. Like just don't come. It'll leave a bad taste in your mouth. You won't want to come back, especially if it's your first time visiting. Like come during the summer months and you'll enjoy it. But the winter months you just gotta adapt. Like any cold area, like any other location, you just adapt. So.
Oh, that's exactly how my mom is. She's like, man, I just can't stand Minnesota cold. I just don't like Minnesota at all. She talks about like everything's just so far apart and all of this. Like she just don't like. She's not fond of Minnesota at all. And so like, yeah. But me personally, I kind of liked it going to see like the downtown area. Like I see US Bank where the Vikings play and stuff like that, and seeing things like that, and even going to Mall of America. I even seen the Target headquarters while driving on the highway, which I thought was cool too.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting city because it's called the Twin Cities. So Minneapolis is kind of the culture hub, And then across the Mississippi River and to the east and a little bit south is St. Paul, which is the state capital, which also has a decent sized population and kind of like a metropolitan feel. But you know, they're very separate like cultures. Like
Oh yeah.
St. Paul, like its buildings are more like Victorian style and older, and Minneapolis is a lot more contemporary. Um, and then kind of the Twin Cities, kind of the neighboring suburbs, kind of reflect those.
Oh yeah.
Um, and like, yeah, people say the Twin Cities, but you know, it's the St. Paul, Minneapolis area, and then the surrounding like 15 to 20 counties. So like, I'm from north of Minneapolis, probably to the edge of where you consider the metro. Um,
Uh-huh.
but like, if anyone's like, oh, I'm from the metro area, I'm from the Twin Cities, like they could mean way south like of the cities to the top, and it's probably like an hour, you know, in any which way you get. But you know, it's got a lot of different feels, a lot of cool like different vibes in the little neighborhoods and cities around it. So yeah, it's fun to visit. Everything can be a little far. Like you might have to hop in the car for a half hour, 40 minutes to take you somewhere, but usually the traffic's not crazy. It's not like Chicago or nothing, but it's still cool. It's what I consider home. So
Oh
definitely.
yeah. I got a couple more questions for you. So one of my questions, this kind of question I was thinking about. So what would you say was your biggest challenge at Purdue, or what would you feel is your like greatest accomplishment? Or
Yeah,
you
for
kind of
sure.
touch on both if you want to.
Yeah, I can do that for sure. My biggest challenge, there's a few. Specifically like within athletics, I had a number of injuries while in college, wrestling, and you know, every time, especially as an athlete, you attach a lot of your self-worth to, you know, how you're competing or performing. So, you know, suffering injuries and stuff like that can really, you know, mess with your head a bit. And I think it's something that a lot of athletes can relate to. So that's a challenge. You know, anytime you're taken out of your sport, um, you kind of lose a sense of structure and of even your identity a little bit. So that's been a challenge. I've had some injuries that I've had to overcome in a sense. But I think on that same kind of vine, like some of my greatest accomplishments is being able to compete at this level of sport um, and you know, win Big Ten matches, win big matches, you know, in front of home crowds, and you know, have my dad come out here and watch me compete. Someone who got me into the sport when I was like 5, and coached me all the way up till I was in college. Like, you know, those are some of my favorite moments, of being able to wrestle here in Holloway Gym for Purdue, and winning against Wisconsin, Indiana, you know, some big schools in on a big platform, I guess. So that's definitely cool. Something that, you know, I've been dreaming of since I was a little kid, watching the Big Ten Network. So that was a big accomplishment. I think outside of athletics, um, you know, biggest challenge for me was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because I felt a lot of pressure that, you know, just given kind of our program and how people go about it, like this is what you do after freshman year, this is what you do. You need to have, you know, this type of internship your sophomore year, then you go to these things, you know, so it's very like kind of laid out, and it's a good path for a lot. But I found like after my sophomore year, I had an internship in finance, which is my major still,
Hmm.
and I really didn't like it. It was really boring and just wasn't what I wanted to do. And I was good at it. And, you know, I got offers to come back and, you know, got to meet some great people. But I was like, you know, if I do this job, you know, if I go into a job like this that I don't like, I'm going to hate myself for it. So, like, now what? You know, because I'm a finance major and I just found out that I don't like finance jobs.
Yeah.
So, now what? You know? So, you know, that was a challenge of trying to like shift my focus and look for something that, you know, I felt like was gonna fulfill me a little more, and I was gonna enjoy it some more with uh, been Big Ten all academic a few times, you know, done some great things. But I think my biggest accomplishments are kind of impact I've had, you know, within athletics and within the Purdue community, specifically like doing a lot of different educational programs within Purdue athletics around like D&I work, stuff like that. I have a lot of fun with, because you know, you get to meet other people, share your story, and just kind of open up. and allow people to get to know each other and meet each other. So that's been a lot of fun, a lot of cool. Every year we've done some Black history education, brought in some really cool speakers. So those are the things that I get the most, I think, like self-accomplishment from, especially when I feel like it impacts other people. So yeah, I think, you know, everyone, like, you're gonna face adversity
Yeah.
in college and just in life, and as soon as you kind of accept that and, you know, take it as a personal challenge, and anytime you kind of fall down and feel like you're coming short, just learning from it. I think, like, just having that type of perspective on things has helped me to kind of get past some of the challenges and adversities and kind of turn them, shift them, and keep accomplishing my goals.
I love how you talked about and you touched on all of these points, and I really agree 10 times with the athletic mentality, because growing up I played sports all my life too, and like putting it in the academic standpoint, seeing like how you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to get to a certain point. Whoa. So yeah, and that athletic mentality of like you got to be X, Y, and Z, and you got to do good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's normally like how I approach things too. I'll be like, okay, so I got this in this class, so what can I do? Or like I feel like at one point in time, like I was sophomore and I was trying to get an internship, and like I was interviewing, but I wasn't getting nowhere. I was like, man, like if I'm not doing this, I'm losing. And like so switch, like, to anybody out there, this is a little advice. Don't never, like, make sure you focus on your own lane, because when the time comes, it's gonna come. But that athletic mentality in me was like, okay, so I'm not doing this, that means I'm not hitting my goals. But like sometimes you just gotta make sure you like reevaluate yourself and go in a different route, or you know, do different things, and like expand on what you're doing and try out new things. You never know, because like during interviews, what changed from my sophomore year to like now, and like how I have an internship now, one of the big talking points was me talking about how like I does this in the podcast and
Yeah.
and the radio and stuff like that. And that's a big talking point, and it just shows like you're human. So sometimes you got to dial back and try new things, and you never know where it'll lead. So I was glad you touched on that, and finding meaningful work and stuff, and helping people and things like that. I really, really appreciate that. And my last question for you, Jared, what's next? What's next? You got all of this. You made your mark at Purdue for sure. What's next? What's next?
Man, what's next? I'm just looking forward to graduation. Definitely, you know, May 15th, count down the days a little bit. But then, like I said, I'll be returning to Minneapolis, starting full time with Target in the summer doing merchandising. And then I'm just looking to get involved in the community, kind of same way I did here at Purdue. Just trying to help people out, you know, get myself out of my comfort zone, meet some people, and just kind of see where it takes me. Because, you know, at this point, I don't know if I want to go back and get an MBA. You know, I've thrown around the idea of doing like Teach for America for a year or two. So I feel like, you know, there's a lot of opportunity out there, and just excited to, you know, meet people and kind of learn more about myself along the way. But I am excited for graduation first and foremost. Excited to take some trips this summer and enjoy a little bit of off time before I start working again. But I definitely have appreciated, you know, being on today, and just all my, you know, my experience at Purdue has been great. Wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, gives me opportunities like this just to chop it up with you. You know, I know we've talked about, you know, your goals, our goals, but you know, I just, you know, appreciate the type of relationships that I've built while here. So I think that's important to kind of remember, especially if you're like a junior, sophomore in colleges. You know, it's a unique time in our life, so make sure you appreciate it for what it is. Don't get too ahead of yourself, but make sure you still have your goals in mind as you're going along. But definitely, like, college is unique and it's dope. So enjoy it while you're here.
Yes, and I appreciate you having you on, Jared. Man, we got to get Asada on here too. We got to get Asada on here. You two.
Oh yeah, you need to have her. She's the one. She's the one who does all the real stuff. So you gotta get her on here.
Oh man, I need both of y'all on here too. I ask questions about a little bit of everything. It's man, that's the big thing I love about this podcast. I ask anything and everything, and we go from topic to topic. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on too. It was very good insight and everything. And and
Yeah,
yeah,
most definitely, bro. I appreciate you for having me.
yeah. And first and last but not least, shout out to everybody that was listening. Shout out to my Apple Podcast people, my Spotify fam, and my YouTube gang. Don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'll see you guys next week in the Next Wave Pod. Peace.